Why do you have a government where there are no early childhood development? In the poor communities, most of our children start school at 7 years. The white people's children start school at 3 years. They're already knowing how to add numbers, to count, add numbers, 1 plus 1. Ours are still with gogos in the township there, waiting to turn 7 years. The next thing, they don't perform good because education was introduced to them very late. So, and then we look like we are non-thinkers. When they did not capture us at an early age so that it becomes our DNA, education becomes our DNA. So, we want it to be free. We want them to give our children free uniform, free school shoes, and give them meals at school because we are in a poverty-stricken country. So when a child doesn't eat a breakfast at school, doesn't eat lunch at school, where do they get the meal from? Because there's nothing outside. In the morning, they slept with an empty stomach. They are coming to school with an empty stomach. So you have to give them food because they will never concentrate and perform with an empty stomach. These people are buying prisoners free uniform and shoes every 6 months. If they can buy prisoners uniform, they can buy our children uniform. If they give prisoners reliable, guaranteed breakfast, lunch, supper, they can give our children. Why should children commit crime for them to see free uniform for the first time? Education, by the way, is free in prison. They've got reliable water. There is no cutting of water. They've got reliable electricity. A prisoner who was in prison for the past 10 years doesn't know load shedding. If you get arrested and you want to talk to him about load shedding, he doesn't know what you are talking about. Like, what's that? What happens? Because every prison has got a generator. They are always electrified. But we are experiencing lack of electricity every time because the electricity that was found is old. The infrastructure is so old. In other areas, the wires are falling. In other areas, the poles are falling. There's never been massive investment in development of infrastructure in the electricity. The expansion of sewer plants have not been done. There's never been massive changing of pipes of water. Because the problem they experience water shortage, amongst other things, is that there's too much leaking of water because of asbestos pipes that are beyond their lifespan. You have to remove. You know, when you cut water for us and say, guys, we are replacing these pipes from here to there, we're going to cut. Here are the water tanks for 2 days. We will never fight with you because we know you are bringing a permanent solution into our problems. So we need a government that is courageous with political will to do those things and do good for our people. I don't understand why should a person who's being given SASA must be billed for water and electricity. This is the same government. We are the same government. This thing that eThekwini is a municipality and that one is a provincial government, it's a myth. It's just administrative demarcation on how we can manage our affairs. But we are one government. The president is one. That's why, if government gives me SASA at national level, the municipality must give me SASA at municipal level through making sure I don't pay for water and electricity. No, They wait for government to give you SASSA, you are poor. They come through a back door to take the same SASSA away from you. And then they are pretending like they care. But in reality, they don't care about us, because the caring about us is exactly what I'm talking about. You can build houses for all disabled people of South Africa, all of them in 1 year. Why? We are in a hall now. For sure we've got 2 or 3, with so many people, 2 or 3 disabled people in this hall. That's how they are in our communities. There are not too many. Where a president just declares, this year, I want to give every disabled person a house. We can give them within a year, and we don't have a disabled person coming to beg for a house. They are struggling as things are now, and you are perpetuating their pain. That's why that comrade made that point and stopped. He was not stopping because he's shy or anything. He was being emotional about it. That why is my pain extended beyond what I thought I'll be able to manage? So a caring government, if it can care about its own disabled citizens, then we know it's obvious with us. Because if you care about those who can't do anything for you, then those who can do anything for you, you'll care about them even more. So they don't care about our disabled people, and they've lived for 30 years, without any assistance from the government. So, Commissar Marshall and Monges, we need to find that comrade a house as the EFF. It's very important. When a man comes pleading like that, you must know it comes from the bottom of his heart. He's crying for help, and we need to help. The ANC did not dump Phoenix alone. It dumped the whole of South Africa. There is no any place that the ANC is taking care of. You can go anywhere. I was in Port Alfred, one of the most beautiful towns, yesterday. What pained me was that the people there say they are no longer dumping sites. Like, dumping site is a piece of land. They say they are all full. Government doesn't know what to do with the garbage. What is going to happen? People are going to dump it on the road. They are going to leave it in their yards. They are now going to start getting sick and living with the rats. Because when you say there are no dumping sites, you simply mean you've got a house without a dustbin. How can you have a house without a dustbin? Because this is the whole house. And then that's where we go dumping. Even that, the ANC can't find a dumping site. Things have become so worse. So we need to accept that our relationship with the ANC has come to an end. There is nothing we can do about it. And the DA is not about any other person except white people. If you see what they are doing now, they are no longer going even into African areas. Every by-election we are running, the DA is not contesting. It's no longer interested, because the true colors are coming out now. They are tired of pretending. So when the Phoenix massacre happened, and they said Phoenix people were heroes and those who died were thugs, they were trying to divide us. That no, these ones must never be one thing, because our unity is a threat to them. They pretend to care about us. Yes, there was a massacre, but it was not committed by Indians. it was committed by criminals who must be prosecuted. Because anyone who take out a firearm and shoot at people, that person is a criminal. The law must take its own course. We have never in the EFF characterized the Phoenix Indians as criminals, as people who committed a massacre. We knew these are isolated individuals. If you had a serious law enforcement, they could have caught them without generalizing this problem to all of us. So we know in Phoenix that those who were looting, they did so because of opportunistic reasons that were given to them. And they stood up out of poverty to say, this is an opportunity for us to go and grab something. They took advantage of our people and used them in a wrong way. And the DA then encourages us to fight amongst ourselves. The Indian community belongs to the EFF. We don't isolate, we don't discriminate the Indian communities. Our first Treasurer General was an Indian when the EFF was formed, Magdalene Monsami. And there is a comrade here who left the EFF, Buthelezi, who said, Ntantla Buthelezi, who said, we can't be led by Indians. And we said to him, if you can't accept the leadership of the Indians, you will rather go. We removed him because from its beginning, the EFF never tolerated anti-Indian sentiments. And we will never tolerate such. So, this guy who's got a land here and all of that, I'm happy the leadership of the Residents Association is articulating these issues in a very clear manner. And they said they will share information with us. We will make a follow-up. Let's get this report. Let's see how best we can assist. Because we cannot have our land sold to people in a corrupt manner. And we are converted into tenants in our own land. We are not tenants. This is our land. It belongs to us. So, eThekwini municipality government had no duty, none whatsoever, to sell our land. So the SIU report, I also didn't know about it. If the days have lapsed where we followed the access to information processes and the guy still hasn't complied, there is a recourse to that. So we need to look at in the law. If we say provide this through disclosure of information and you refuse as the president, what are the consequences for that? So we might need to go to court to get this report released so that we expose the corruption of the ANC through this report. So we must never get tired of demanding the release of that report. And that's what our leadership should write down and follow up and give it to the lawyers to pay a closer attention. The good thing with lawyers is that when you told them, this is the matter, follow it up, they diarize it. They always open a diary. They're like, there's this matter, this is a due date, they have not responded, this is our next move. So, unlike us, we only remember it when we see you. But we need to give this matter to professionals and say to them, you are going to get this report. The SIU reports are public reports. He has to sign them and release them to the public. So there is no one, there is no powerful family. Whether he's got money, he doesn't have money, and then whether he goes around saying he's powerful, that's why he can buy the land and all of that, you will realize that there's actually no one who's powerful than the state. There's no person who can move around saying I'm powerful, I've got connections and all. That is going to come to an end. It will end in tears. It will end in tears. No one must arrogantly deal with our people in the name of ANC protection. We're not going to allow that. We are going to make sure that even this powerful person, I don't know why you are not saying his name. You should have told me his name. I was going to say it here. Even if, yeah, Marvin. We need to find this Marvin. Huh? What? Jason. The owner of the land, the one who bought the land. Is Jason. Yeah, okay. Huh? Jason. Oh, Jason. They say it's Jason, but Jason died and the son took over. Yes. So we will follow it up. Now we have a name. We know what we are dealing with. Let's go and make sure that these families are held accountable. We need, yes, they said rent to own. We need to go and check what was the agreement and when was this thing of renting ending, so that we begin a process of transfer, because the properties must be transferred into those who rented for such a long time, and today they still don't own the properties. I know very well that kind of scheme, SG, where you rent from properties of the municipality or the state, and after a particular period of time they hand them over to individuals. So we need, I've seen it happen. It means it can happen even here. If that was the understanding, we need to do it. We need to give our people options. There can't be where there is just a gated community or a wall where people are told you buy water from me. That is thuggerism. That is not be allowed. Water and electricity must be provided by the state. Those are the things that you don't play with, because that is life. What now? An individual just feels like he's not paying me close the electricity. That time there is an indigent person in that family who's entitled to certain liters of water per month. Even when they've not paid, they close it because they can, and no one can do anything about that. We need to make sure that there are no such estates or arrangements that are made where our people are paying water to an individual who has nothing to do with indigent policies of government, who doesn't know that this person qualifies for free water, and they cut their water. So we have to follow up that matter, and we have received it very well. The issue of jobs, really, you are right. And the EFF what, where you come from, doesn't even have to come. You said what 48 doesn't have to come to us. The EFF what 48 must just stand up and go to those people in the factories where your what is found, where those job opportunities are, and tell them, we are the youth, we are the people from here. We can see people are working here, but none of these people come from us. They've got a duty to employ locals. They have a duty to employ locals. So if you are not committing any crime, when a project comes of a municipality, we normally appoint what we call CLO, who's going to liaise between the community and the service providers. That is with regard to government. Why is there no CLO for private companies, where the company has got a person who liaises with the immediate community? Because we need to benefit from local economic opportunities. Where I come from, I tell them, once you see some development you don't know about it, you have to go and ask, what is this? and how do we benefit from this? So the local EFF, not even Monges, not even the region, the branch must do that. And the day you do that, that's the day those people are going to start respecting you. When there are opportunities, they are going to call you and say, hey man, we are looking for 10 people and all of that. Please, can you help us to find from a local community? People take advantage of those who don't stand up for their rights. They just violate you. They just undermine you. But the day you stand up and say, but you can't do that, that's the day they are going to start respecting you. So we really are saying to our youth, there are no jobs necessarily. But whatever jobs that are there, the EFF has a duty to make sure it fights for our people to get jobs, not only jobs. When they are employed there, they must have rights. They must have their benefits. They must have job security. That's why we are fighting that security guards must be insourced in government. Those who are working in government buildings, those who are working in government facilities. Comrades, people work at a municipal office as a security guard for 30 years. When he goes on retirement, there's no pension. Because private companies were exchanging hands. Every 3 years, there is a new company. Every 3 years, there is a new company. And then after 30 years, the other company says, you are too old, we can't continue with you. You say your father was useless, he was not saving money. It's not true. He was exploited. We insourced the workers in Johannesburg municipality, the security guards. And we were paying a company 15,000. And then the company was paying them 3,500. We removed companies and hired these people. We are now paying them 17,500 with medical aid. They've got medical aid. They now have pension fund. They now have leave days. They can go on leave. The reason you see these securities reporting to work at 6, 9 o'clock, they are already sleeping, is because they never rest. If he decides to go on leave, when he comes back, someone has replaced him. There's no job security. So we have insourced them in Vets University, the cleaners at Vets. A lecturer is a worker. A cleaner is a worker. They must have workers' rights, both of them. What was even worse at Vets is that lecturers are paid more money than cleaners. On top of the more money they are paid, they were even allowed to bring their children to study at Vets for free as part of benefits. This one who's poor, who earns way less than a lecturer, if a child must come to that university, must pay. After we insourced them, which is what we want to do with all the universities, after we insourced them, those children of those cleaners now can go to Vets University free of charge as benefits of insourcing their mothers. Every time I go to speak at Vets, you must see how those elderly women run to me. They can't stop thanking us for what we have done in their lifetime. So we want to do this to all our people who are suffering, because we must make sure that indeed we defeat poverty. You can only defeat poverty when you pay people very well, when you look after your workers, when the state of happiness in South Africa is high. We will never defeat depression and this sadness that we see every day if we don't empower our communities through infrastructural development. So the EFF is that kind of government, and which will make sure that our people in Polar Park, in the shacks, everywhere else, we are part of them. They have endorsed the EFF, and we're going to make sure that when we take over, we don't forget that our Jondolo have endorsed us and said we want you to come and build us houses and take us out of the shacks and give us a piece of land which we can call home. That's what we must never forget. So I'm happy that I came here today, and I'm happy that I've listened to the issues that you have raised. I leave here today as a better person. On the 29th of May, you must do the right thing. And those who drink alcohol, don't drink on the 29th. On the 29th, we want a sober decision. You must go there sober so that you make a sober decision. There are 3 ballot papers. 1, you vote EFF. 2, you vote EFF. 3, you vote EFF. Comrades, we will never have peace in the world if there's no peace in the Middle East. We need to fight for the people of Palestine. They are fighting for their land. The DA is supported by the people who support the apartheid Israel. And they want to suppress and kill and wipe off a nation in front of us. We cannot allow that to happen. We know what land occupation means. The people of Chatsworth, they know what it means to be removed from your own land. And that's why we can easily sympathize with the people of Palestine. Only the EFF went to Parliament and said, let's remove the embassy of Israel from South Africa. And Parliament agreed with the EFF. The problem is this big nose who's supposed to implement this decision. He doesn't implement it. Because we are done. We did our job. We said Woolworth must not buy anything from Israel. If they've got anything from Israel, they must remove it from their shelves. They said no, there was a small product left. We said we don't care small or big, remove. As long as it's from Israel. McDonald's wrote a letter and distanced itself from the McDonald's of Israel and said, we are not part of that. So only they wrote a letter to the EFF. We said, anyone with a product of Israel, remove, otherwise we are coming to remove it ourselves. They wrote letters reaffirming that indeed we had you and will never have anything to do with Israel. Only the EFF took those practical steps. What does the ANC do? They go to International Court of Justice to pretend like they are doing something. Because they know legal processes take long. So they buy your face by going the long route. If they really cared, they should implement that decision, which was agreed to by more than 2/3 majority in the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa. So if the president can't listen to Parliament, who does he listen to? There is no Mandela or who Mandela we're going to vote for. Mandela is no more. People must leave Mandela alone and allow Mandela to rest in peace. He has done his job. He's done. We have thanked him for that. Don't say no, the ANC of Mandela. No, it's an ANC of a criminal called Cyril Ramaphosa. Mandela never stole money and put money in the sofas and in the mattresses. So there's nothing Mandela about this criminal. How does a president sleep on top of dollars when people of Polar Park go to sleep with empty stomach? How do you sleep at night knowing you've got so much money, but you're not sharing it with your struggling people? And who hides money in the sofas? Because we all hide money in the bedrooms. By the time you go to the sofas, it means the bedrooms are too full. There is no more space. That's why you went to the sofas. So we want to go to Parliament to hold this criminal accountable. So please, let's make sure we do the right thing.